I've decided to make an all-female DC team consisting of a bunch of very well-known DC characters along with some lesser-known female DC characters. This is also a video left by a comment in my Discord channel suggesting I make DC's version of Marvel's A-Force. I know DC already has something like the Birds of Prey, but this is more so, I guess you could say, maybe DC's look at what an all-female Justice League would look like at this point. So with that being said, join the Discord, leave some of your video suggestions. I'll try my best to make videos out of them. And as for the video itself, I've made 4 teams, each with different characters, no repeats. So let's get into Team 1. Team 1 is Wonder Woman, Zatanna, Jessica Cruz, Halo, Maxima, and Phantom Girl. This team is a close reflection to Marvel's actual A-Force team, using Wonder Woman as the leader, Zatanna for magic, and Phantom Girl as your offshoot singularity type presence, and so on. So you guys exactly know where my mind was at. Wonder Woman is the She-Hulk of the team, Zatanna is Nico, Jessica Cruz is Captain Marvel, Halo is Dazzler, Maxima is Medusa, and Phantom Girl is Singularity. This team offers a great balance in terms of tanks, so like strength and raw power. Then at the same time, another half of the characters who play in those support roles, which would help this team's combat be well-rounded. Outside of your clear-cut leaders, more than likely somebody like Wonder Woman and Zatanna, this team would work well enough together where the core of who they are, every single character, they're always behind one another no matter what, no matter the situation. I could also see these characters coming together so well too, because some of them are similar enough, but a lot of them are also different enough. You could sit here and see, wow, this is a well thought out team. Never really thought of some of these characters sharing storylines together, but when they do, it's actually really interesting. I think it would also help characters like Jessica Cruz becoming a much bigger presence in the Green Lantern mythos than she currently is now, making characters like Halo and even Phantom Girl become bigger and hotter commodities. Maxima, a character that has been around for a very long time, finally being recognized for being somebody who can be more than just affiliated with Superman's mythos, who really she isn't even used that much there anymore anyways. In my personal opinion, when I look at the roster for this team, I do honestly believe that this could become a staple team if used properly. So this is my look at DC's closest variation of what A-Force would look like from Marvel. Now for Team 2, I have Power Girl, Hawk Girl, Donna Troy, Mara, Vixen, and Raven. Every character here is a heavy hitter, and they all have different mythologies and worlds where they pull their power from. Some of these characters are really well known from the teams that they already belong on. Some of them are better known for being able to hop in and out of teams, take part, and then be solo for a little while, which could help these characters form their own team in the first place, since they all have experience and know what it's like to be on A-Force type teams. Each of these characters, I believe, would have a mutual respect for one another, which I'm hoping that every one of these teams would have that type of relationship. But why I say that is because I think these characters would have a lot of assertive personalities, and instead of that, maybe breaking these teams up and disbanding them, it would keep them closer connected to one another and help each of them care for each other even more because of how similar their personalities are. I think what's really cool about this team is, yes, obviously they're all super strong. This is probably the most powerful team of any of the teams I have for you here. Even more than that, it's the fact that each one of these characters are all coming from different corners of the DC universe, adding more flavor to the team. Power Girl from Earth 2 and a Kryptonian. Hawk Girl, a Thanagarian or somebody from Egyptian mythology. Donna Troy, Themyscira, Amazonian. Mara, Atlantis, Vixen, a connection to the red, and Raven, daughter of the most powerful demon of all time, and her herself, probably the most powerful demon of all time. In terms of character histories and backgrounds, there's so much of the best forms of diversity in this team right here that then opens up the potentials of storylines. Kryptonian threats, Atlantean threats, Thanagarian threats, ancient threats. The list goes on. There's so much you can do here. I will say, at least in my opinion, one thing is for sure for this team. Any threat they go up against has to be super powerful, because every one of these characters, give or take Vixen, even though she has had her moments of being super powerful, since this team is so crazy strong and has so many different types of abilities and powers, their enemy has to be able to match that. Then for Team 3, I have Big Barda, Blackfire, and Starfire, Carol Ferris or Star Sapphire, Supergirl, and Enchantress. This is a stacked cosmic squad that could be more reliant on universal threats rather than Earth. Enchantress, I know, is probably the outlier here because of being a cosmic squad, but I'm sure somebody of her power, her scale, and her background, there's a way to fit her in here. This team probably has a lot of chaotic energy, which would be fun, don't get me wrong. But along with that, you have quite a lot of characters here who are kind of comfortable existing on that anti-hero line. Enchantress, Blackfire, Big Barda. Carol Ferris was once known to be a villain. Even Supergirl has had her moments. I do know that often I say bringing in characters from different corners of the DC universe makes things very interesting. Well, this is literally a team where characters are coming from different corners of the universe. They're all coming from different areas in the cosmics of space. You have connections to Apocalypse with Big Barda. Tamaran, both with the sisters Starfire and Blackfire. Again, Krypton with Supergirl. Even a connection to the other Lantern Rings coming from Carol. Outside of maybe Supergirl, Starfire, and Big Barda, this is an interesting team for me because this is a group of characters that you wouldn't think would come together at all, but they would probably need a very particular reason that connects every single one of them that makes them think, yeah, we should probably form this 6-woman team. You have your leader in Big Barda, you have your heavy hitter in Supergirl, you have that potential right-hand woman in Starfire, the magic card in Enchantress, and even a wild card in maybe Blackfire or Star Sapphire. This team may not be personalities that we would all think would come together, but I do believe that after coming together, it could be a pretty interesting team to see exist, at least for a little while. Then, last but not least for this video, Team 4, I have Batgirl, particularly Barbara Gordon, Black Canary, Katana, Huntress, Godiva or Godiva, however you want to pronounce it, and Element Woman. This is a street tier A-Force that not only shares characters from the Birds of Prey, but would probably operate similarly to them as well. They would be strategic and pretty much surgical and precise with everything that they decide to do and take action on. But at the same time, you're adding a little bit of quirkiness to the team by adding in Element Woman and Godiva. I don't necessarily mean their personality or who they are as a character, but their powers and abilities are adding a certain flair to this team that they didn't have before. And I do think of all the 4 teams, they would probably be the closest to being best friends. I could see their chemistries and their personalities all working very well together. It's to the point where their relationship is not just about fighting together. Their relationship extends outwards, even into their own personal and social lives. Again, this is very Birds of Prey-esque, except just added on a little bit more with a couple of extra characters. We're now looking at maybe a Birds of Prey extended edition. Release the Birds of Prey cut. You know, Batgirl and Huntress, no powers. Black Canary, all intents and purposes, no powers that make her stand out amongst the powerful metahumans of the DC universe. Katana has a powerful sword, but once again, no powers herself. Godiva, an Element Woman, having powers, I don't think takes away from this team being that street tier level. I think their powers are perfectly intertwined to remain to street tier level threats. With Godiva, I think she was one of the closest characters, at least appearance-wise, that would fit Dazzler from Marvel's A-Force. I could not make a team without her showing up some way, somehow. So, those are the 4 teams of DC's version of A-Force, or a DC all-woman squad that I created. And as per usual, before we hit the end of the video, I tell you my personal favorite of the 4 teams I made. Personally, I think Team 1 is really cool because it does kind of reflect as best as possible what DC's A-Force would actually look like when you compare it to Marvel. But I think I have to say my favorite teams is Team 2 and Team 4. Team 2, you're taking so many different characters from different histories and mythologies, and you're forming them into one team with one another. And again, they are just super powerful. And I don't know why, but for some reason, when making this team, I have no story behind it, but I kept picturing a villain team up of Ares and Trigon against this team. Do what you will with that information, but something about those 2 villains against these 6 female characters, I think it would go pretty well. Then for Team 4, as per usual in these videos where I craft teams, I always got to give you a street level version of said team. And I love street level ideas in the superhero world. I'm pretty sure a lot of you do as well. I just can't get away from this video without saying this is one of the top that interests me. It's not like something like this hasn't been done before, but I mean, why not do it again? I think this is a team that would be perfect for being paired up against the crime lords and gangs of a particular city, albeit probably Gotham. We're dealing with Black Mask, Penguin, Harvey Dent, maybe even some of the Irish and the Italian gangs in Gotham City, all banding their power together to finally stop this street tier DC A-Force mixture of birds of prey. So that's my personal opinion on what my favorite teams of the 4 that I created here are. So you guys in the comments below, let me know what your favorite team is that I made and what your personal A-Force team would look like in the DC universe. That is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.